Hi, I'm Adrienne McLean from the Speakers Practice. It's great to have you join us for our podcast, Think Bigger, Grow and Succeed. We're interviewing professionals on the topic of seeing the bigger picture and discuss how individuals at work or in business can do this so they grow and ultimately succeed at their goals. This interview is designed to be inspirational and uplifting and give you approaches to get you to the next level. I'd like to welcome Ben Baker, dialing in from Canada. Ben's passion is enabling companies to communicate their value inside and outside the company. As president of Your Brand Marketing, Ben has two focuses that allow him to fulfill his passions. Ben believes that leadership is a mindset and not a job. With that, Ben's goal is to work with his clients to create the next level of leaders and enable them to engage, retain, and grow. Welcome, Ben.
Adrienne, that's a mouthful. We're going to have to shorten that just to make your life easier. How are you?
Ben, you do so much.
Well, it's easier just to say it's Ben.
Well, tell us a bit about what's going on, Ben, in the marketing world, and how are service professionals and business owners getting their message out at the moment?
No, it's always interesting for companies to be able to get their message out. The question is, are you communicating effectively? Is what you're trying to say being listened to, understood, and valued by your audience, whether it's your employees or whether it's your clients or your vendors? Do people understand your value? Do they understand how you help them succeed? And a lot of companies, when they're communicating from the I point of view. I do this, I do that, we do this, we do that. And it's not about how we take care of our clients, how we take care of our employees, and be able to frame it in analogies and verbiage that allows people to sit there and go, oh, wait a second here, that's me. Yeah, wait a second, my ears should be perking up. Oh, maybe I should be paying a little bit more attention. Yeah, I trust this person. All right, let's go further. Mm-hmm. So that's where the real challenge is. And I don't care if it's a good economy, it's a bad economy, wherever we are, the challenge is to be able to build messaging in such a way that it's about your customer, it's about your audience, and it's about how you help them succeed. And it's not about you. So that's really where people need to be.
But people will find that quite challenging at times, that communication piece. It's not that easy.
Communicating is tough. I don't care who you are. Communicating is tough. We all have a perception that what we say, is understood. We all think that if I say it, people understand it. But I don't know how many times I walk into the CEO's office and say, I don't care how many times I tell people something, no one gets it. How come people don't understand me? And it's not the fact that people aren't listening. It's that they're not actively listening. And there's a difference between, okay, they said it over and over again, to whether it says, wait a second here. This is how this affects me. This is how it affects the company. This is how we're all going to be better together. This is what I need to do to not only keep my job, but to thrive in my job and to feel, involved in my job. And this is how, the company is going to allow me to be empowered to be more effective. Or as a customer, it's going to say, this is how this is going to make me better. And this is how it's going to solve the problems that are, cursing me right now. So it's not about communicating in language that's important to you. I said, well, I get that. Why doesn't everybody else? The question is, are you using the right verbiage, the right tone, the right analogies that resonate with the people that you're trying to influence?
And that's part of where the business owners need to start to work.
It's being able to listen as far more than you are actually speaking, because you need to understand, do people understand what I'm saying? Are they reaching forward, or are they sitting back? Are they crossing their arms? Are they open? Are they looking you in the eye? Or are they rolling their eyes? are people actually paying attention? And whether that's on social media, whether that's face-to-face, whether it's on Zoom, the question is, are you paying attention to the other person? And are you getting the cues from them that not only are they listening, but they're actually understanding, and they understand how this helps them? And that comes down to being able to sit there and say, you know what, I'm not really sure. Did you understand that? Sometimes I'm not really communicating as well as I think it is. Can you tell me what you think about this? And then let's have a conversation.
It's very hard to for the presenter to actually assess, I suppose, whether the audience is taking in what they're saying, because they're there, they're out doing what they do to promote whatever they're talking about. But how do they get those sorts of cues?
I think a lot of it comes down to when you're dealing with an online audience. Over the last 2.5 years, most of the presentations that we're going to be doing have been virtual.
Yes.
And that's extremely difficult, because whether you're presenting to one person or you're presenting to 1,000 people, the question is, do you feel that you have that person's attention? Because the problem is, you see my face here. Great. I'm looking at you. But do I have my email open underneath me? Do I have a YouTube video playing on the other screen? Yeah. What's going on around it? And it's a lot more difficult to get the focus and attention of somebody. So you need to have, a lot of open-ended questions and be, listening for them to respond, giving people an opportunity to be part of the conversation. It can't just be a one-way dialogue. When you're, on a stage and doing a keynote, a lot of it comes down to body language, looking out in the audience and saying, what's the body language of the people? Are people, engaged with the conversation? Are they talking to each other, or are they down looking at their phone? Are they rolling their eyes and looking at their watches to sit there and say, okay, when is this thing going to be over? There's a lot of different ways to be able to do that. And you can go in the audience and say, hey, listen, true or true, what do you guys think of this? Everybody raise their right hand. No, wait a second, that's your left hand, ma'am. And you just and be able to have those conversations and then say, do you get the laugh? And if you got the laugh, people were listening. And it's, and a lot of it comes down to getting off the stage and into the audience and engaging with people. And whether you're in a small group, a lot of it comes down to when you're face to face, asking open-ended questions and then listening. It's not about you talking all the time. It's more about the fact of giving a little bit of information and then listening for response.
And this goes into the sales process. So how do they navigate that?
Well, I think we all, no matter what we do, and this could really lead into the big, hairy, audacious goal, is that we need to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We need to get to the point where we're going to get out of our comfort pocket. We're going to get out of doing things the way we've always done it and sit there and say, okay, how could I do this better? How can I make this presentation better? If you're presenting death by PowerPoint and it's 75 slides and they're dense with lots of words and bullet points, and you're just reading off the screen, guess what? By slide number 5, you may hear snoring at the back of the audience. And that's reality. That is absolute reality. But when you get better at presenting, you sit there going, do I really need 75 slides? No. Can I get away with 65 slides? If I can get away with 65 slides, can I get away with 45 slides? Can I get rid of 20 slides? Wait a second, can I get this down to 10 slides? Yeah, that's really uncomfortable. But what if I did an 8 to 10 slide deck with almost no text whatsoever, big images, and then just talked? And that is taking you out of your comfort zone. And that's they're going, okay, because nobody's going to sit there and read the 75 slides with you. Nobody wants to look at a 75-page deck. Maybe in their office when the doors closed and they're by themselves and they really want to get down to the minutia details of the project. Yeah, maybe then your engineers and maybe your CFO may look at it Your CEO is not going to look at it. Your chief sales officer certainly isn't going to look at it. But maybe your detail-oriented people within the team that like that kind of minutiae detail is great. So that might be a leave behind. But when you're presenting, you need to realize who's the people in front of me and how do I make it engaging for them? How do I make it fun for them? And it's about caring about the people. But, a lot of it comes down to being comfortable, being uncomfortable and going, is there a better way that I can do this? Well, I mean, there's things like there's Toastmasters. I suggest anybody that does any type of presentation, whether it's presentations within your office, presentations to a boardroom, presentations to clients, whatever, Toastmasters is phenomenal, or the equivalent of these things worldwide, where you actually get up there and practice. And you actually get up there and you get better because, speaking is like any other muscle. It's like going to the gym. If you go to the gym once and you think you're going to lift 300 kilograms, it's not going to happen. But if you go to the gym every single day and lift, 50 kilograms, 100 kilograms, 150, 200, 250, 300 kilograms, you'll get there eventually, but it takes time and effort. It takes repeat and it takes practice and it takes dedication. You're probably going to have a coach when you go to the gym. Having a coach that teaches you how to communicate effectively is not a horrible thing either. Professional speakers all have coaches. People that speak for a living, myself included, have coaches. We have people that we can sit there and say, what do you think about how can we sit there and make this better? How can we make this so it's more impactful? How can we make it so it resonates more with the audience that's in front of me? Those are the things that we need to think about.
Well, it's amazing how much difference just regular practice makes, and just getting that fluency to be able to use practice communication skills. It's amazing the difference it has.
It's like any other skill. If you don't practice it, you either lose it or you don't get better.
Yes.
And, I mean, you look at surgeons, when they're about to do a very difficult procedure, will practice it over and over and over again on either cadavers or on these new, electronic mediums to make sure that they do it perfectly before they cut into a live flesh. Yeah. So everybody needs to practice. Everybody needs to sit there and hone their skills and know what they're going to do before they do it. So that way, when you come to it, even if you make a mistake, even if you miss, 20 lines of text within your talk, you know how to talk around it. You know the basic tenets of what you're trying to say. You know the ideas you're trying to bring across. You know the things that are important. And if you don't get everything, it's not as important as that. How do you make people feel? What's the impact? What do you want people to leave knowing? And if you could have that thought in your mind whenever you're speaking, this is what I want people to get out of this talk. Most of what you're going to say might be superfluous. That's the thing you want to focus on.
Yeah. Oh, that's really great advice. Now, I'd like to ask you a bit about these big audacious goals, because really it makes such an impact on whether companies are successful or not successful, and whether individuals achieve their career goals or they don't. And often people get stuck within their world, and they don't see their abilities and see what's actually possible. So how can we make big audacious goals if we can't see outside the world we see?
I think the first thing we need to do is realize that start with small goals and make goals bigger. It's like everything in life. You can't lift that 300 kilograms on the first shot. So what you need to do is says, okay, here's a small goal, accomplished. Made a slightly bigger goal, accomplished. Make a bigger goal, accomplished. Wait a second here. What if I could do that? Now that I've accomplished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, now you give yourself the ability to dream big. To sit there and say, when I was 18 years old, my dreams were far different than they are in my 50s. What was valuable, what was important to me, what was critical for my own self-worth at 18 years old is far different than it is today. My big, hairy, audacious goal at 18 was to make $1 million before I was age 30. That was it. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to make $1 million before age 30. Had no idea how I was going to get there, but I wanted to make $1 million. And that's the big problem. The problem is I had no idea how to get there. And you sit there and go, and a goal without a plan is a dream.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how big or how scary or how out there that dream seems to be. You need to sit there and say, okay, that's where I want to go. I want to climb Everest. I'm at base camp number 1. I've got this in my tool bag. I got this in my tool bag. I got this in my tool bag. I have this in my tool bag. That's probably going to get me up to stage 3. What do I need to get me the rest of the way? And it's making sure that you have the tools with you on your way. And that might be other people. That might be more knowledge. That might be more strength. That might be, more water or a better first aid kit or a better blanket. But we need to sit there and say, what am I missing? And a lot of times it's being able to sit there and say, I will never do this by myself. You don't climb Everest by yourself. Nobody does. Nobody solos up Everest by themselves. Maybe there has been a solo climb. Can't think of it off the top of my head. But what you realize is, in order to reach those huge monumental dreams of where you want to be in your life, that you need to have a set of skills of your own. You need to have a pinpoint idea of where you're going. And you also need to realize you're never going to reach that on your own, and be able to sit there and say, who do I need to surround myself with? And what knowledge do I need in order to be able to get there?
Yes. Your support team is so important to help along the way.
It is. If, we all need a support team, whether it's our spouses, whether it's our kids, whether it's our friends, whether it's, it might even be somebody on social media that doesn't even know you exist, but you're reading their material and you're sitting there going, okay, I'm gaining inspiration by that. I'm never going to meet, I probably will never meet Richard Branson, but I read his material and I garner information from him. I garner information from Warren Buffett. I garner information from a lot of other people that allow me to be better at what I do. And they give me knowledge that I need in order to do things that I can't do today, because they've been down that path. They've done these things. They've fallen down the holes and figured ways out of them. So if I can sit there and utilize their knowledge and their information, even if I never have a conversation with them live, they still are quote unquote mentors of mine because I'm gaining information from them. So it's a matter of understanding that we have a gift today. We have access to unlimited amounts of information, unlimited amounts of inspiration, unlimited amount. I mean, God, just look at YouTube. And there are thousands of different ways that you can sit there and say, okay, I never thought of that before. This is what I need to learn. Go on YouTube. Somebody somewhere has done something like that, and they'll give you their knowledge. And take their piece of knowledge, take somebody else's piece of knowledge, take another piece of knowledge, and sit there and say, okay, what of that is relevant to me? Great, bring that in, mix that up with my own sense of reality, figure out how it helps me, figure out how it makes me better, and then utilize that to move forward. Oh,
yes, that's great. there is just so much information. Sometimes it can get a bit overwhelming to know what to use, but certainly YouTube is the most amazing resource. You can search for anything and find information.
I learned how to change my own spark plugs on because I couldn't figure out how to pull off the head on my Ford Edge. And you know what? I Googled it up on YouTube, and there was a video. Somebody showed me how to do it. It was perfect.
Fantastic. Oh, Ben, thank you so much for your time today. You've really given us some great food for thought. Would you like to tell us a bit about your brand marketing?
Sure. Your brand marketing is an internal communication consultancy. What we do is we help people communicate more effectively inside the company. We help companies, large to enterprise level companies, understand how they can talk more effectively and how they can disseminate information more efficiently by using internal podcasts and other mediums, and also to teach senior leaders how to communicate more effectively, both with hybrid teams, remote teams, teams of multiple generations, etc., and be able to sit there and say, let's figure out what your challenges are. What are the things that are making you tear your hair out? What are the things that are not working within your organization? Okay, now let's fix that. And understand it may be process, it may be communication, it may be procedure, it may be all three of them. But it all comes down to the end that says, do people understand what needs to be done, why, how, and when? And that's what we do to help people.
Well, yeah, it came back to what we were talking about before about communication and getting your message out there. It's one of the sort of the glue that holds everyone together.
You know what? Great communication can make a company. Poor communication can cost a company millions. The average company of 100,000 employees loses $62 million a year due to ineffective internal communication. A small company of 100 employees loses $420,000 a year due to ineffective internal communication. The numbers are staggering, and that's after tax dollars. So that's money that can be spent on wages, that can be spent on training, it can be spent on systems and processes and technology, whatever it is. But it's being wasted every year because the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing.
Yeah, fantastic. Oh, it's great to hear all about your brand marketing and the way you help your clients with all the communication tools that you have. That sounds amazing.
You know what? If any organization needs to have a conversation, I'm always happy to give people 30 minutes free to understand what your challenges are and see if we can be helpful. Come find me at yourbrandmarketing.com. That's yourbrandmarketing.com. People can book a 30-minute scheduled meeting there, and we can have a conversation to find out how we can help you guys succeed.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us, Ben.
Adrienne, always a pleasure. Always love the conversation.